Hi, welcome to TRENCHTEK Tools. Here at TRENCHTEK, we're in the trenches with you. Today, Molly and I are going to go over some basic techniques here on our tools. We're going to cover safety, some cleaning, some maintenance, and one or two troubleshoots. First off, welcome back to the TRENCHTEK family. If you're a repeat customer, if you're new, we're going to show you everything about your tool. So first off, you make sure to grab a kitty cat. And you're gonna move the kitty. I'm sorry. This is our little baby. Yeah, she's TRENCHTEK number one. Okay, so here we go. Let's just get right into it. First thing and most importantly is your safety. One of the most common things we get is, hey, our tool doesn't work, the trigger's real loose and the blades. That's a safety in the tool. So this tool is designed to be ejected forward, locked into place, and to retract back into the tool and lock into place. If anything obstructs your tool before it's fully engaged, notice it didn't go fully out. That's your safety. It's the spring mathematic inertia of the tool. It just simply doesn't have enough power to pull the blade forward and lock into place. It just keeps people from going to the hospital and whatnot. So that's common. This is what's normal. This is what's supposed to happen. How to reset the tool? How I reset it is I'll take my blade, firmly hold it in my hands, and I'll hyperextend it. And you're back on track. A lot of people, what they'll do, you can also take it off track by pinching the blade tightly, holding it firmly, pull back on your trigger. That's how you can always disengage your blade if you ever need to go into deep mode. But a lot of people will also use just gravity. They'll shoot it forward or they'll even shoot it inward into the tool. You know, either way, of course, now it's not going to do it. There you go. So you get the idea. Once this tool is locked, it's not going to go back in until you command it. So that's the safety. It's common. It's going to happen to you the first time you put it against something. So just know that that's the normal function of this tool or any other tool that is an out the front tool. Cleaning, how we clean the tool. I do have another tool here with some of the screws out. You're going to have 6 screws. Depending on the size of your tool, the small, you're going to be using a T7 star pattern driver. The medium is going to be a T8 star pattern, and large, in this case, it's going to be a number 10. What we do for basic cleaning, the cool thing about this tool is it tells you when it's time to clean. You don't have to worry, it just has certain tells. So the number one tell is when you go to open your tool, it won't fully engage. And even though there was nothing obstructing it, it just came off track. Or if you're putting it back in and it doesn't catch. If it does it once or twice, that's just the nature of this tool. Just reset it and you're back in action. But if it does it 2 or 3 times, it's telling you it's time to clean. So what's going on is anything that goes out and comes in over time is going to bring in dust, pocket lint, dirt, debris. It's just the nature. So that's how it tells you it's time to clean. So the most common way we clean it is we take the bone glass breaker and the clip here, and we're going to undo that. We're going to take that off, and I'm going to do it on this tool here that's already kind of stripped down for time purposes. So what I like to do is I'll take off the glass breaker and just put that off to the side. And then you see that hole? That's where it's screwed into. What I like to do is take the tool off track. So I'm going to firmly hold the blade. I'm going to pull back on the trigger, and it's going to disengage it. And that's safe for everybody. And then what I like to do is I like to use WD-40 silicone. It goes on wet, but ultimately it dries. So instead of staying wet, because that will promote more dust coming in, more dirt, more debris, once it dries, it really reduces that. So I take a can of WD-40 silicone, and I have it with the straw in it, and I'll put the straw in the end here where the glass breaker is. And then I'll flood it. Remember, this is off track. You'll start seeing it just flood throughout the tool. Once it's good and flooded, if you have compressed air at home with an air key, you're ahead of the game. Just take your air key and you're going to come up to the back here while it's off track and flooded, and you're going to blast. Psst. What that's going to do is going to allow all that debris to come out of the sides of the tracks since the blade is not occupying it and keeping it all dammed in at the top. So you just blast it and it's going to blow out most of the debris. At that point, you reset the tool back on track. I'll do it 2 or 3 times in and out just to get it lubed. And then you wipe off your knife and the inside will dry over time. That's it. And then if you put your clip back on, you can put it on right-handed, left-handed. This is a spine trigger, so law enforcement and government contracts, they love these because you can use it as your everyday carry primary or your secondary if your firearm and your flashlight or other tools. So it's a very diverse tool, ambidextrous for the clip. In my case, I'm right-handed, I would just put it back together. And you're good to go. That's really the cleaning. But let's say that doesn't cover it. Or let's say you have one of our common issues. One of our common issues is you'll go to use your knife and it's engaged. You'll go to bring it back and it won't come back in. The gate inside got a little stuck. And that's usually because there's a burr or a piece of debris. Most of the time it's just a piece of debris. Even a piece of tobacco will do that. Also, if it goes inward and it doesn't catch, so you're trying to bring the knife, the blade in, and it doesn't want to go in, that usually means it's a little bit deeper of an issue. It's something in the gates, and I'm going to show you that now. So this is what's going to happen. You're going to take the blade off track. I always like to keep it off track whenever I'm doing any maintenance. It's just safer that way. You're going to take out all of your screws. This is a large, so it's a T10. So we're going to use the T10 here to be able to do that. We're going to take that off. Okay, that to the side. And welcome to the inside of your guy's tool. As you open it up, here's the magic. Your trigger right here is going to come off track. Notice it has a groove in that trigger. That trigger connects with that little piece right here. That's your trigger. That's your little piece on the slider. So the first thing that we do is we're going to take off the slider. This is your slider and your spring. The spring is on the slider. You'll see that there's these little L brackets right here, and then there's a tinier one up top right here. You can barely see it. So the point is there is definitely a longer L bracket down on the end. If you put this together backwards, it's okay. You'll know it's backwards when you put the spring onto the slider because you won't be able to sandwich this shut where it's complete with a solid line. And it's simple. So all you would do is just take your spring off and put it on the right way. And if you notice, this slider has a smooth side on one side, but the other side it has milled in an indenture. That's where your spring is going to go. It gives it a place for the spring to rest. Remember, small L bracket to the top. You just put it on, stretch it, and set. This is called an active slider. When you set this down, don't put it face down because sometimes it'll pop it and you'll have a rocket. It'll just shoot. I like to put it spring down so the L brackets are upward. That way it's just nice. Put it to the side. Inside your tool now, you have your gates and your blade. Your blade will slide right out of the tool. That's how simple it is to field strip our tool. Now if you notice these gates right here, we have the bottom gate, and you see that there's a little spring behind it? Yeah, that little shiny thing, those are springs. And then there's the top gate, same thing. So what's happening if your blade ever gets stuck and it doesn't want to retract in, it's a gate issue. Here's the secret on how to get the gates out. What you want is a magnet, and you may want a dental tool just in case. What I like to do is put the magnet right over the top of the whole thing and pull up. It brings out the gate and the spring at the same time. Sometimes the spring will stay behind. If that's the case, I like to take the magnet and put it on my tool, and then you can kind of dig out that spring in there and bring it out. But let's see, normally it will just kind of come out together. So we're going to take your gate and the spring, and oh great, we get to show you. So here's your gate, and notice that the spring is still in there. See how it's just slightly in there? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the magnet, put it on the dental tool, and I'm going to get in here and I'm just going to pull that out. Put my finger over it so it doesn't fly once I get a hook on it. Because if this goes, guys, good luck finding it. If it does drop around you, you can take your magnet and you can kind of just lawn mow the carpet, and sometimes it'll pop up. But there's your spring, and we're going to put that. See how the narrow end? The narrow end's going to go towards the gate. It's going to press. See how this gate has an indenture or a divot in that? That's where that small portion of the spring is going to fit. It usually rests there. The large side of the spring is going to rest against the wall this way. So I'm taking my magnet and I'm going to put my springs and my stuff on my magnet, my slider, my gate, excuse me, and my spring. So what you want to do to fix if it's a gate issue is simply flip your gate, guys and gals. So that indenture is where it normally is sitting in. I flip it. See how this side is just, it's not indentured. So I flip the gate, I take the spring, and I'm going to pinch the spring against the gate and kind of have it all in my hand. This is a little awkward, but the circumference of that gate will kind of, that gate will fit that little corral that it goes into. So you just kind of tuck it back in, pinch together, put your thumb over it, make sure it's in, and success. So it's in. Let's make sure this works. I take my dental tool, and then I just kind of move it back and forth a little bit. Yep, see, opens, closes. That's great. To put your tool back together, now also, you can flip your gates. You can also switch your gates. You can go back and forth. Once it finds its sweet spot. So just start by flipping your gate. If that doesn't solve it, move the gates from the bottom to the top, top to bottom. You can just play with it. While this is open, if it was an issue where there was debris or dirt after the gates are out, you can take a toothbrush and kind of go into the tracks. There's tracks that are inside this tool, and that's where the blade slides back and forth into. You can take your toothbrush and you can just go into those gates or into those tracks and just brush out any debris. Use WD-40, silicone, whatever wet, and you can brush it out. You can also use, little pipe cleaners or whatnot, but I like a toothbrush. Toothbrush work really good. They're quick. Put your gates back in. And then to put your tool back together, you're going to just put the blade back into the slide. And that's basically the magic. How that sits behind, that's what keeps your blade locked, what you're not seeing behind the scenes. Just push it sideways with your thumb, and it'll allow the blade to come in. Go about halfway, and then you're going to take your trigger, your slider. Let's go back over to our slider here. And I like to put the slider on and make sure it just moves back and forth. It's working. See how it's opening and closing that back gate? Open, closed, open, closed. I know that's working. Okay, to put the trigger back on, I just line it up. The line of the trigger, that little cutout, goes right to the trigger. And then there's little sides on this trigger, little bits of meat. Obviously, they go into the side of the handle. You can see grooves in the handle. So what that looks like is you're just going to put it right there, just like that. And then you're going to sandwich the whole tool shut with the top part, the other part of the handle. And it's flush, so I know that is solid. There's no holes. Now, at this point, guys, you don't have to put your hands, your screws in. Just hold it firmly with your hands, and you're going to pull it forward while you squeeze the handles together and engage the tool. It's now locked. I'm going to test it, pull back, and I'm going to push forward. It's working. So at this point, what I'm going to do while I'm firmly holding the handles, I'm going to release the blade again. You can put it against something if you guys want to disengage it. And then I'm going to turn it around, and that's when I would put my screws back in. For the sake of time, I'm just going to put one screw in because this is important. Any screws, your glass breaker, your screws, once you screw it in, I like to put it in until it stops, obviously. But at that point, I'm just going to put a little bit of hand tight. That's it. No more. I don't want to over tighten it. This is made of zinc and aluminum alloy. That's what our military and that's what law enforcement require. They like this tool to be able to be used in any environment: hot weather, cold weather, salt water, fresh water. It's stronger than all aluminums and stronger than most carbide steels. That's why we use the materials we do. If it's good enough for our military, it's good enough for us. So just hand tighten it. So once that's done, then you're going to want to take the tool, reset it. You can use gravity, or you can pull the blade forward and just make sure it works. And once it works, then you're going to put your clip back on. Our tool has a spine trigger, so this is able to be used for everyday carry, or for military or law enforcement for a secondary or primary tool, or if you're left-handed. So in my case, I'm right-handed. I'm using it just as an everyday knife, so I'm going to put it so it's a right-handed tool. But if you ever need to and you're on duty, you can switch the clip, so that way your primary hand is your firearm, your secondary hand is going to be your flashlight or other tools. So that's one thing that we love about the TRENCHTEK. So once that's together, you're just going to basically put the clip on. There is a groove in the tool where that clip will rest. You can kind of see it just a little bit, right? That kind of cuts in. And that just rests the clip. and then you're just going to put it back together. And then once it's together, you got a good working tool. So that basically, guys, covers all of our safeties, the basic cleaning, your deeper maintenance, and our most common trouble issue, which is the gate. And it's not a trouble issue, it's just that gates are picky. These are very precision instruments. When they're working, they work great. Sometimes they need a little bit of adjustment. So now you guys know how to use our tools. You know how to open it. It's a nice basic video here. We are going to be coming out with more videos in the near future, going into deeper subjects, but this is enough to get you going or help troubleshoot you to get your tool back into maintenance. Again, this is Jim and Molly from TRENCHTEK Tools. We'll be in touch and contact with everybody with more videos soon, and take care.